If Mark Meadows can't get the rent assistance plan of the second stimulus package done, can we move in with him? Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LALATE. Hope you're great and safe and doing well and staying positive. This is our 2-hour programming block that starts every day at 3:30 with the check, then goes to hazard pay, FPUC, and rent assistance. And this is a day in which we have interesting sound effects. There's a foghorn on set. So, it follows my lead. So if you hear a foghorn, it is not Mitch McConnell passing air, and it's not Mark Meadows giving out a big sigh, but it might. But it's what makes this channel different. There we go. So don't drop in the comments, what's that sound? That sounds so weird. Now you know. That's the beautiful thing about filming outside. Exciting news today about the second stimulus package, and especially about rent assistance, which is both great news and disconcerting news at the same regard. Let me get right to the point. Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi did not yet meet today after Mitch McConnell started the day with great news saying everyone's in town, we're going to get this done. I'm asking them to get in the room, get the thing done, get a deal done. It was such great news that the stock market actually went up straight at the opening because everyone thought the deal was going to happen. What's strange at the moment is the following, that the Republicans, which initially didn't want to do a deal, are now hammering to get the deal done this week. Literally this week. Mitch McConnell, head of the House Republicans, the Senate Republicans, Pete Navarro, who's a cabinet member to President Trump, it's one of those days, and others, including Mitt Romney, have all said get the deal done today. Get the deal done now. Mitt Romney says this is insane. We can't keep on dragging this out for several more days. Mitch McConnell says, this is ridiculous. Get the deal done now. And Pete Navarro says, meet in the middle. Meet in the middle. They want $3 trillion, you want $1 trillion, meet in the middle and get it done, which is actually what Chuck Schumer said yesterday, meet in the middle. Now, Nancy Pelosi's remark then started the day, turned the day, which started really, really, really great, into sort of like, oh no, why is she saying that? Nancy said, I'm not coming back into a room unless they come up with more money. Okay, Nancy. So where we are is really tough negotiations. I want to dispel some false rumors right off the bat. First, there's no deal until September. They're voting in September. Wrong and wrong. They're not waiting around to September, and there's no vote set up for September. Next, they're doing this agreement in September. They're not doing it now. Also untrue. There's no vote set up for September like there's no vote set up for today. 4, they've left town, and they're not going to do anything to September. That's wrong and wrong. They haven't left town, and they are working on it right now. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi made an agreement that members of Congress would not leave town until they get this done. But if they want to fly back to their home states, because they're so loved there, they're absolutely so adored, especially Kentucky. That's why Mitch has not left D.C. If they do fly back to town, there's an order in place for them to get their butts back into D.C. within 24 hours of a deal between Steve and Nancy to vote on it. So how this would work is the moment in which Steve and Nancy appear from the room and he carries over her the threshold and she's braided his hair with an agreement in their hands, then the Senate would convene with a vote, would take 1 day. The House would convene with a vote, would take 1 day. The president would sign it the next day. 3 days, you have a law. So anyone that's sitting there saying, my brother's sister's uncle's nephew told me there's nothing happening in September, well, tell your brother's uncle's nephew to just go have a donut because it's totally untrue. There is where we are. So what's happening with rent? Now, this also made me skittish in not a good way. If you know, on Monday delivered the incredibly great news as well from Steve Mnuchin that there was agreement upon rent. Everything about rent. Remember, there's 3 different things about rent in this entire second stimulus package. There's the eviction moratorium. That means you can't be thrown out of your apartment if you can't make rent moratorium means it is a blocking of an eviction, which is a process to throw you out of your place of dwelling. As we go into darkness, I have darkness, I have light, and I have foghorns today. It's just like a bad Tim Burton movie. I feel like Tim Burton's directing today's videos. The next one is, after rent eviction moratoriums, is mortgage forbearance. So there's a light again. Mortgage forbearance. Mortgage forbearance would mean that you would not lose your home or your apartment building or commercial building to a mortgage default, a mortgage foreclosure. They would not allow banks to foreclose upon properties during the pandemic. And last is rent assistance. Grant money to you for rent, free rent money. Nothing is better than free rent money that comes to you that would be paid to your landlord for you for rent and utilities. This is incredibly great news. So we started Monday with great news when Steve Mnuchin sat on CNBC with David Faber and Jim Cramer and was asked, what parts of the second stimulus package did you agree upon? And he said, rent, 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 rent. He said, I agreed upon eviction moratorium, which I had reported over 2 weeks ago. We agreed upon a mortgage forbearance, which I reported 2 weeks ago. And that's not a hard thing to understand because the president had asked for it publicly. And Steve had asked for it publicly, so it was not a surprise. And the Democrats have it in their bill, so there's no surprise there was an agreement upon that. The one that was not the one that was a big surprise was he said we gave them rent grant money. Okay, so we got everything with rent agreed upon, Steve, apparently. I'm about to have the foghorn. I need it now because then came Nancy Pelosi, and today she said, oh, who told you I had a deal with rent grant money? I did. Yeah, there we go. We did not have a deal with rent grant money, she told News Today. She said there is absolutely no deal on rent grant money. So the president's order had warned that jobless claims and other actions are only expressly provided and 20 million are at risk of eviction, having unemployment assistance of $300 a week, but Nancy Pelosi says, they didn't give me anything for rent, so what do you expect me to do? Nancy Pelosi says that her negotiations with Steve Mnuchin over 2 weeks gave no money for rent money, which is really quite shocking. Now, what's shocking about this is that Nancy Pelosi had said halfway during the 2 weeks of negotiation that she would absolutely not settle unless there was a rent grant creation in the final law. What does this mean? It means that basically there would be a fund, and the fund would provide money to your landlord for your rent that you could not pay during the COVID-19 pandemic. It would be relief for the landlord because they don't have money for their bills, and it would be relief for you because you can't pay the rent. Nancy said it's not enough to do an eviction moratorium because ultimately all your rent is just piling up that you can't pay. And as soon as we get to the end of the pandemic, bam, everyone will be thrown on the street because they have all this past due rent that they can't pay. She said you have to have a grant program where people are giving grant money to pay the rent. Otherwise, you're just going to have a mess, a financial cliff, a real estate debacle after the pandemic's over. And she's right. She's absolutely right. I mean, you can't keep on deferring payments if people don't have the money to pay it on the back end. So Steve said there was an agreement upon that, and yet now Nancy says, oh no, there was no agreement upon that. So suddenly these people who seem to not want to tell us when they're in a room negotiating, don't want to tell us what they're doing, are now saying their deals are different. Who are you to believe? Ultimately, don't shoot the messenger. My job is to tell you what they're saying. But the great news is it really only takes 3 days to get this crapola into a law. It only takes 1 day for Steve and Nancy to emerge from that room with her having braided his hair and him carrying her over the threshold and saying, we're now a couple of agreed people on a second stimulus package. Give it to the House 1 day to vote, give it to Senate 1 day to vote, give it to the President 1 day to vote, and we're done. We have a law. And your checks go out 10 days after that electronically. It's that fast. So what's going to happen next, LALATE? It's Wednesday afternoon. I don't know. it's become like a war of words, and it's not a good thing. No one likes a war of words. But the good thing is that there are certain things that are starting to pile up. And until they start to pile up, then, I don't mean foghorns, then you really have to sense that maybe these people don't sense the urgency. There is urgency. 20 to 40 million Americans are facing eviction, the worst eviction rate ever in this history since the Great Depression. 45% of African Americans and Latinos are facing eviction, that rent are facing eviction in this country. The eviction rate is disproportionately worse now, pending, for certain ethnicities than others. There is a very big concern that home ownership across the country could be impaired dramatically if so many homes are lost to foreclosures in the next couple of weeks. We're at the financial cliff. And as Marco Rubio said just last Friday, this is insane. Get the deal done, to basically paraphrase him. Because if you don't get the deal done, you're going to have the real estate market collapse. And Rubio understands this. He's in South Florida, where real estate is so important, in Miami and South Beach. He says you can't have the real estate market collapse. You can't have renters thrown on the street. You can't have evictions. I see your comments. I see your comments. People are saying, I'm in my car. I can't be in my car anymore, Elliot. This is enough already. I'm just so irate. I see your comments. I have viewers in their cars. I have viewers losing their homes. I have viewers being thrown out of their apartment. And I have to understand that, you have to understand with me, that as I sit and record these videos, I am not ever forgetting you. And you're in my mindset when I record every single day. And so if there's a joke or a laugh about a shirt or a comment about something off camera, it is to keep the levity of the situation, which is, for many people, very serious, intact. Because ultimately, no one wants to have someone sit there and deliver a mortuary sermon every single day, because that is ostensibly what we are at with evictions across the country. Only 50% of states across the country have protections by active governors in place to prevent you from being evicted. So the rest, people are living in their cars in the parking lots of Walmart. People have lost their life savings and are now struggling to make ends meet. I got it. But what's important to understand is, and I'm going to say this in the most apolitical way possible, it is absolutely, categorically horrific to have an executive order issued on Saturday and told to press, told to the people of the United States, told to the citizens of this country that are facing eviction moratorium, that there's now an executive order that protects them. Because it doesn't. The executive order issued on Saturday, whether it was an act of political theater or really was an act of bad drafting by rushed staffers in the Trump administration, is a bunch of crap. Why say you're saving 40 million people from being evicted when the order doesn't do anything? And when you see the reports, and here I gotta go deeper, and if you don't like me going deeper, then turn me off right now, because I'm gonna go deeper. When you have, as of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, thousands of reports from Republicans and Democrats saying that eviction order on Saturday was nothing. It didn't protect anyone. Why is no one going back and fixing the executive order in the White House to give an eviction moratorium? It's that type of stuff that makes me very angry, because people are being thrown out on the streets. And when you're told the order doesn't do anything now, when everyone is telling you in your own party that eviction order doesn't do anything, go fix it. Larry Kudlow tried to fix FPUC in the executive order yesterday. However, he, lawfully and unlawfully tried to fix it, but at least he tried to fix it. His mindset was to fix it. How about fixing the executive order for eviction moratorium? Millions and millions and tens of millions of Americans are facing eviction, and currently we have no 4 people agreeing to it, and we have a White House that is trying to pitch you an executive order that doesn't give you the relief. It's that type of that it's just like, what are we doing? Oh, I just cursed. Well, I mean, you see where I am. Coming up next is Evenings LALATE, and I will have more updates. And less profanity. I will have more updates because this situation is changing by the minute. Go to the front of this channel. There's a subscribe button, and hit that subscribe button because the situation is changing by the minute. There's an alert button next to it as well. A lot of people ask me, hey, LALATE, I've subscribed, but I'm not getting alerts when a new video goes live. Drop it in the comments, and I will look for you because there's an additional item that YouTube publishes that says make your account public so I can see that you subscribed, and you may not have set your settings correctly, so I'll try to give you that link. Adding about 7,000 new subscribers a day, so let's get it going. Let's keep going. Our goal is 170,000. Our goal is 200,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. We're at about 170 something now. Coming up, evenings at LALATE. As always, stay motivated, stay inspired, stay focused, enjoy the foghorn, and stay with LALATE for more.